So, dear students, yesterday we were discussing the concept of capacitors, isn't it? In that, the last concept what we discussed was regarding the combination of capacitors, that is uh, the series combination, right? Okay, so I want to have one small revision, and after making the revision, I will move to the next parallel combination. Dear students, I told you that the combination of capacitors is necessary whenever we don't get a single capacitor of required value. In that case, we have to combine two or more capacitors together so that the combination of those two or more capacitors will do the same work as that of the single capacitor. ಆ ಎರಡು ಅಥವಾ ಎರಡಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಏನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾವಲ್ಲ ಆ ಕೆಲಸನ ಒಂದು ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಸ್, ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಪರ್ಪಸ್ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅದು ಫುಲ್ಫಿಲ್ ಆದಂಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಹಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಒನ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಒನ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಇಕ್ವಿವೆಲೆಂಟ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. We call it as equivalent capacitor. Yes, whose equivalent capacitor? It is the equivalent capacitor of the combined capacitors. If you are taking three capacitors, then all together, all three together, they make the equivalent capacitor. Okay, yes. So if you understand this information, then it becomes easy for you to find the equation for equivalent capacitance of the capacitors, combined capacitors. See, first we observe the figure 1. Okay, there are two figures on your screen. So let us consider the figure 1. This is figure 1. In figure 1, what we did, three capacitors C1, C2 and C3 are connected in series. Then the end terminals what we get, they are connected to a battery which acts as the potential difference. When the battery is connected, then the current starts to flow. As the current starts to flow, the charges start to store in the capacitors. The first capacitor stores the charges, second capacitor also stores the charges, and the third capacitor also stores the charges. Yes. Assume that first capacitor has stored the charges, say of quantity Q1, and second capacitor charges of quantity Q2, third capacitor charges of quantity Q3. In this case, all these three charges will be equal. It means here the charge stored on each capacitor, it will be equal. Q1 will be equal to Q2, right? And it is finally taken as equal to Q because all are equal. Why? Because same amount of current starts to flow through the charges. There is no variation of current. But the potential difference across each capacitor will be different. Remember this. Charge stored is same, but the potential difference is different. So V1 is the potential difference across C1. V2 is the potential difference across the capacitor C2. V3 is the potential difference across the capacitor C3. I hope You got all these things clear? Any doubt regarding this explanation? Clear idena? Yes. Now let us move to the equivalent capacitor. In equivalent combination or equivalent circuit, that is figure 2, what happens? A single capacitor can be replaced in the place of 3 capacitors. Then what will be the amount of charge stored there? The amount of charge stored is again Q. The same amount of charge will be stored in that. See, observe this. Okay, observe this. Same amount of charge will be stored in that capacitor, that is represented by CS. Right? What is this CS? CS is the equivalent capacitance of series combination of 2 or more capacitors. Okay, I cannot write that sentence now, just to here, just to remember. It is the equivalent capacitance of series combination. Right? Of course, the potential difference will be V only. In this second figure also, for the second circuit also, potential difference is V. Now we have to consider the equations or consider the relationships for these two. Yes. How this V1 can be given in case of first capacitor? For capacitor C1, how this V1 is given? V1 is nothing but it is Q1 divided by C1. But Q1 is equal to Q, therefore I can write Q divided by C1. Similarly, V2 for the second capacitor, it is Q2 divided by C2, but Q2 is Q, therefore it is Q divided by C2. Similarly, V3 is Q3 by C3, that is Q divided by C3. Now, for the second figure, what equation we can write? See, we can write the equation as V is equal to Q, because that is the charge stored there and its capacitance is CS. Okay. After understanding this, we come to the main concept. What is that? See here in the figure 1, the potential difference what we apply here, that potential difference will be divided into 3 parts. 3 parts as V1, V2 and V3, isn't it? Therefore, V can be represented as V1 plus V2 plus V3. Now you substitute these values, the values what we have taken for V1, V2, V3 and V. When we substitute, we get this particular step. Of course, in that you can write it as Q divided by C1 plus Q divided by C2 plus Q divided by C3. Now, when Q is taken as common, then the bracket we get 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. I think this step is clear to you. See, there is Q on both sides, one on LHS and other on RHS. So these two are cancelled. Then what is left? 1 by CS is equal to the thing is in the bracket. That is 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. So this is the final equation for equivalent capacitance. Equivalent capacitance of two, here it is 3, okay, 3 capacitors connected in series. Okay, so this is the equivalent equation for equivalent capacitance. From this, we can understand one relationship. What is that? The reciprocal of the equivalent capacitance is equal to sum of reciprocal of individual capacitors. Okay. Yes. If you don't have any doubt up to this particular concept, then we can move to one small note. Yes. So dear students, do you have any doubt or any questions up to this? Yesterday it was little hurry, so I felt that I was little hurry. Yes. Now note here, if two capacitors are there, if two capacitors are connected, then what will be the equivalent capacitance? So it is 1 by Cs is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. Okay, because only two capacitors. Now it can be simplified. When we simplify it, then we can write it as, see, 1 by Cs is equal to, take the LCM. LCM is C1, C2, and when you multiply 1 with C2 and 1 with the other denominator C1, then we get C1 plus C2. Or altogether, that equivalent capacitance is C1, C2 divided by C1 plus C2. That will help you while solving the problems. Okay? Just for the purpose of knowledge, I have given this. Now, if you have the combination of three capacitors, then how this Cs can be written? See, again the LCM will be C1, C2 into C3. Therefore, that will come in the numerator after taking the reciprocal. Then in the denominator, it will be C1, C2 plus C2, C3 plus C3, C1. Okay. So that is the another modified form of the equation. Anyway, while solving the problems, you can directly use these formulae. Instead of taking the capacitance in the reciprocal form, you can directly use them and you can solve the problems. Right? Yes. Dear students, I hope it is more clear than the yesterday's explanation. Shall I continue? Do you have any doubts? Okay. See, let us move to the parallel combination of capacitors. See, in parallel combination, what happens? The capacitors are connected in parallel, that is one across the other. See, I am using the word across. Across. Yes. What word I used in the previous case? One after the other. Right? Here, one across the other. See, whenever we connect two or more capacitors, one across the other, then that will make the parallel combination of the capacitors. See, here also the three capacitors C1, C2 and C3 are connected in parallel. Yes, they are connected in parallel, one across the other. Then the combined combination of those capacitors, yes, it is connected to one external potential difference or a battery. Now, when current starts to flow through this battery, then different currents will be flowing through the three capacitors. Okay, different currents will be flowing. Remember. So, hence, each capacitor will be charged in a different way. That is, Q1 is the charge on C1, Q2 is the charge with C2, and Q3 is the charge with C3. All are charged with the different amount. Okay, remember this. Then what will be the potential difference across each capacitor? See, potential difference across each capacitor will remain same. So here charge is different, potential difference is same. Whereas in previous case, potential difference was different and charge was same. Okay, yes. Now we have to consider the equivalent circuit also, where we have only one capacitor called as CP. Okay, so it is nothing but equivalent capacitance of parallel combination. That's why CP is there. And let Q be the amount of charge, the total amount of charge present there in the capacitor, which is connected to a potential difference V. Yes. Here again we can consider the relationship between Q, V and C. Yes. So what is the relationship? In the previous case, we took V is equal to Q by C, isn't it? We know that V is equal to Q divided by C. So using this only, we can write Q is equal to V into C. Okay. If I make some small change, if I shift C to the left hand side, transpose C, then I get Q is equal to V into C. So using this, can we write what is Q1? That is charge on capacitor Q1. So Q1 is V1 into, V into C1. Why V into C1? Why V into C1? Anybody? Because V is same across all three capacitors. Okay, V is same across all three capacitors. Hence Q2 is also V into C2, Q3 is also V into C3. Now this equivalent, the total charge present in the equivalent capacitor, that is given by V into Cp. Yes. Now the net charge stored in the equivalent capacitor will be equal to the sum of charges stored in the individual capacitor. Hence, we can write Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3. Now, you substitute the value of Q from the previous discussion, that is Q is equal to V into Cp. Similarly, you substitute for Q1, Q2 and Q3. Yes, what is common among the LHS part? See, here among the LHS terms, the common is V. V is taken out. C1, C2, C3, their addition is left in the bracket. Then V is cancelled from LHS and RHS. Hence, we get the final equation, that is Cp is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So this equation gives the equivalent capacitance of three capacitors connected in series. Of course, you can take the equivalent capacitance of two capacitors, four capacitors, whatever it may be, any number of capacitors you can consider. But in parallel combination, remember, Cp will be, the equivalent capacitance will be sum of the individual capacitances. Okay, remember this. Here it is not reciprocal, it is directly the sum of the individual capacitances. Yes, dear students, do you have any doubt regarding this? Any doubt? See, the discussion regarding the parallel combination of capacitors is somewhat, it is simple or direct one compared to the previous one, right? Yes. Shall we continue? Shall we continue? Or is there any clarification is required? Do you need any clarification? Okay. Now, let us move to the next concept, that is energy stored in the capacitor. Yes, definitely. Already we have learnt about the electrostatic potential energy. Anybody want to give what is electrostatic potential energy? The meaning of electrostatic potential energy? Okay, see here, whenever there is accumulation or storage of charges on the surface of any conductor, there will be some kind of energy associated with them because of their position. So that energy is called as the electrostatic potential energy. Okay, so how much energy will be stored in a capacitor of capacitance C? Yes, or how to calculate the amount of energy stored in any capacitor? So here, for that purpose, what we did, we took one capacitor of capacitance C. It is connected across a battery of potential difference V. As the current starts to flow through this capacitor, charges start to store on the inner walls of the capacitor where there is dielectric medium. Okay. If it is vacuum, then no problem. In the vacuum or free space only, the charges will be stored, but on the surface of the plates. Right? Now, what we do for the purpose of the calculation, we do not consider the total charge at once. Then how we do? We consider the storage of the charges in small quantities. We assume that first a small quantity of charge dq is stored. Then again some small quantity of charge dq is stored. Like that, if the charges are stored in the discrete amounts, in the small quantities, then afterwards we can go for the total charge stored in the capacitor. Okay, yes. And we know that this electrostatic potential energy, it is nothing but the amount of work done in storing the charges, isn't it? So what we have to do, we have to calculate the amount of work done in storing the charge of amount dq. So we get one work done, say W1. And when we store the charge, another quantity of small charge dq, the amount of work done can be taken as W2. When we store another small quantity of charge, the amount of work done is taken as W3. Like that, if we go and if we store total charge Q, then we get the total work done, that is W. Okay, net work done, and that itself will be the potential energy, isn't it? Hence, here we first consider what will be the potential created due to the storage of some amount of charge Q. If say some amount of charge Q is stored in the capacitor, right, of capacitance C, then there will be some potential there, and that potential is represented by V dash, and we consider the equation of potential as V dash is equal to Q by C. Okay. Now, if small amount of charge dq is stored, then the work done in storing the small amount of charge dq, it is given by dw is equal to v dash into dq, because we know that w is equal to v into q, or V is equal to W divided by Q. All these equations have been already discussed. So according to this equation, dW is equal to V dash into dQ. Now substitute V dash there, it will be Q by C into dQ. So this is the small amount of work done, that is dW, right? Now if we want to know the total work done, the net work done in moving the charge Q or in storing the charge Q, then we have to consider the summation or integration of these small work dones. So the total work done can be given as integration of dW. Okay, integration of dW. So it is in storing the charge from 0 to Q. Initially it will not be having any charge. The capacitor is not having any charge, hence the charge in the capacitor is 0. But when we fully charge it, then the charge in the capacitor is Q. Hence we have to integrate from 0 to Q. Yes, what is dW? dW is nothing but Q by C into dQ. Here it is, already we have taken it. Hence substitute it, then it is Q by C into dQ. See, this Q by C is a constant, 1 by C is a constant, right? So capacitance of the capacitor is constant, so it is taken out of the integral sign. Then in the integral sign we are left with Q into dQ, where it goes from 0 to Q. Now just use the knowledge of integration, that is integration of x into dx is x square divided by 2 plus some constant. Okay, you will learn it when you in the mathematics, when you come to the next chapters. This year you have complete study of integration in mathematics. Definitely you are going to learn it. But anyway, for the time being, I have given this identity to you, that is integration of x into dx. A variable x into dx is x square by 2. Hence Q into dQ is Q square by 2. Okay. So in the place of this small q, when you substitute capital Q, that is when the capacitor is fully charged, then it will be Q square by 2C. Of course, actually it should be written as 1 by C into Q square by 2 minus 0 by 2 anta barutte, right? So 0 by 2 is 0 only, therefore we are left with Q square by 2. Hence when that Q square is multiplied with 1, we get Q square by 2C. Yes, you will understand it when you learn the integration. Yes, so this is the equation for the work done, and we know that the work done itself is considered as the potential energy stored. Hence the potential energy stored in the capacitor is given by U is equal to Q square by 2C. A very important problem for the numericals, a very important formula for the numericals for CET and for NEET. Okay, yes, because you get plenty of problems based upon the capacitors. Remember, plenty of problems based upon the capacitors, and in many cases you may need to use these formulae, the formula of series combination, parallel combination, and potential energy store. Okay, yes, so this is the discussion about the energy stored in the capacitor. Do you have any doubts or any questions? Okay, so dear students, here we have some modifications. in the previous formula, if we make some changes, then what will happen? See, what formula we got for U? U is equal to Q square by U is equal to Q square divided by 2C. Okay, this is the formula for energy stored. Yes. See, we know one formula or one relationship, that is Q is equal to V into C, isn't it? So if I substitute this value of Q here in the equation of potential energy, then it will be, see, Q square is there, therefore it will be V square into C square, and divided by 2C is as it is. Now here 1C is cancelled. Okay, then the equation what we left with is U is equal to V square C divided by 2, another important equation for potential energy stored. Okay, similarly, if I make one more change, that is, I know that C is equal to Q by V. This formula I know. Now, if you substitute this here in the place of C, then it will be V square Q divided by 2V. And here also, if one V is cancelled, then we are left with VQ divided by 2, another equation for the potential energy. Okay? Any problem? Another equation for potential energy. See, like this, we use the equation of potential energy according to the situation. If Q and C are given, Q and C are given, then we have to use this formula to calculate the potential energy. If they have given V and C, right? So V and C are given, then we have to use the other formula, that is V square C by 2. If they provide the information about V and Q, then we have to use the formula. So according to the information what we have, whether we have the information about Q and C, V and C, or V and Q, so depending upon that, we have to use the separate formulae to calculate the potential energy. Remember this, students. Okay, so it is better to note down or better to practice these formulae, better to remember these formulae, because according to situation we have to use them. Okay, hope you got the discussion up to this. Then see, in this chapter I think I have covered most of the concepts which are there for your syllabus, and only one small concept is left, but a very important concept for 3 or 4 marks, that is Van de Graaff generator, the concept of Van de Graaff generator. So that I will discuss in the tomorrow's class. Okay, so hope